And welcome to episode 13 of The Essential 6, your regular 6-minute update in terms of the world economy and global trade. And I'm joined by Joe Brusuelas, RSM Chief Economist. Hi, Joe. Where in the world are you today?
Well, I'm actually back home in Austin after 2 weeks on the road, where I went to New York, Toronto, and DC. And boy, are things really beginning to move here in the United States.
So Washington, DC, that must have been timely this week, because the one thing I wanted to talk to you, or initially talk to you in this episode, was Joe Biden's the infrastructure bill, which was passed this week. UK press seem to say it's a major coup for the Democrats and the Biden administration. Why is that, Joe?
Well, the United States hasn't embarked on a significant modernization of its infrastructure since the Eisenhower administration. President General Eisenhower, the 1950s. What's been put forward really is a potential game changer. We're going to see $550 billion in new spending over the next 10 years. The total federal government spend is around $1.2 trillion. And, we went ahead and did some research and looked at what our state and local government spend. Once you add that in, you're going to have 2.2 to 2.5 trillion likely spent on modernizing essentially the infrastructure of the United States economy. Now, that's an economy that generates $23 trillion a year in GDP. So this is not just a domestic event, it's a global event. There'll be some indirect benefits to UK and European companies, but mostly this is going to be a United States, Canadian, Mexican, North American economic event. But it's a coup politically, and it does show that things can get done in advanced democracies at a time when there's some question about the functioning of democracies. So this is encouraging, and it's something I think everybody should benefit if you care about democratic capitalism.
It was certainly something I think the Obama administration couldn't get away, I think, isn't it? So it is a coup for the Biden administration, that's for sure.
It is. Both the Obama administration and Trump administration failed in their efforts to obtain a significant infrastructure investment project. So this is a major achievement here. And I think hopefully everybody takes a step back and looks at it, because unfortunately, this is something we don't do very often in the advanced economies.
Well, I think, with that in mind, Joe, it's interesting when we look at the UK in terms of the leveling up agenda, in terms of that infrastructure investment that is needed outside of the city of London. Maybe there's a lesson to be learned for the UK in terms of, right, okay, get this bill passed, material money's involved, and the commitment is there. We might see the similar thing.
What's in the conversation right now around the world? The one common thread that binds us all together is we're paying higher prices due to the disruption of global supply chains. Now, imagine if out of the financial crisis, instead of moving towards neo-austerity programs in both the UK and the US, we would have taken advantage of historically low interest rates that were negative in real terms and made this infrastructure investment over a decade ago. We wouldn't be having anywhere near the level of problems we are adjusting to the disruption of those supply chains caused by the pandemic. Inside the UK, you'd have rail that could support freight and move that petrol to the market instead of having to rely on truckers who no longer exist because of the after effects of Brexit. I can't tell you just how important it is that we begin to move towards modernizing global infrastructure. This won't be the last pandemic. This won't be the last disruption. We clearly have to begin taking a longer, more forward-looking view within the context of what we're willing to pay and begin to modernize our economies. The time has come.
Well, that time has come, not just from a modernization in the widest sense, but also in relation to environmentally aware supply chains, and just how those supply chains are adapting or will adapt and have to adapt in the next few years in order to tackle the climate crisis. It's long overdue.
Well, that's right. We want to be moving things by electricity, not necessarily by petrol, even if we're moving petrol to the market, because we're going to have a long and bumpy transition to that more cleaner, green, sustainable future. But we have the tools, we have the know-how, we just have to have the will to do this. And I do think that the shock that we're all still absorbing from the pandemic, not just the casualties, not just the people who are going to be COVID long haulers, but the way in which it knocked down our most vital infrastructure, should cause us to take a step back and say, this can't go on. The status quo ante is not tenable, nor is it preferable. I have a feeling this is going to be a huge business opportunity for our respective middle market economies and our clients. The the modernization of all this will create new business. And I think it's something we need to engage in or lean into, as they say these days.
Absolutely. It's an interesting development. It's certainly exciting. It's certainly overdue. We'll keep an eye on it. And as you say, Joe, I think there's opportunities for both UK and US businesses in order to take this forward. Joe, we're running out of time. I'll catch up with you soon. We'll carry on the conversation I want to touch on in the future about what's going on with UK GDP, inflation and interest rates. And we'll bring in Tom Pugh, RSM UK Economist, into that conversation as well. Until next time, thanks all for watching. Goodbye.
Cheers.